Peace and love. All right, brothers.
Good evening, What's up, fellas? How y'all doing this evening?
Oh, beautiful. How about yourself?
Good, man. Good to be back on the air. Margaret Nick, welcome to the show tonight. Now, number one stunner, number one fan. Always a pleasure to share with you, Margaret Nick. Good to have you in the audience.
Peace, love, Vanessa Turner.
Hey, Nessa! What's going on, Nessa?
What's up, good brothers?
Man,
You
feeling well.
can't complain. How about yourself?
Oh man, life is good. Life goes on. Life is good. You know,
Amen.
getting stronger every day. You know what I mean?
As you come on board, please just check in with us, say hello so we can give you a shout out. We love doing shouting folks out as they come on board.
Yes. How you doing, though? Let me shoot. How was your day?
All right. We got a nice little show lined up for you tonight, this evening. Some two great subjects. Q gonna break that down when we get to that point. Thank y'all for joining us once again. Second week back since the election. We took the election night off. And you ready with the drum roll, Arden? I said we took the election night off, and so did Kamala Harris. Padash! You know, that was and y'all ain't get it, man. God darn, I tell you, boy. I tell you, you can't tell a joke in the world. You know what I mean?
Hey,
But
one person in the back thought that was funny.
No.
One person in the back thought that was funny.
Yeah. But anyway, it's going to be a great show. We're going to talk a little bit post-election goings-ons in the world of the U.S. of A. And then we're going to break down some well, I'll let Q handle it later on. Anyway, Q, what you got going on, brother? What's happening in your world?
It's a good night. We're looking forward to a good show. And tonight we got a couple of subjects we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something that happened this weekend. We're going to dive in for a few minutes. We're going to dabble into the Paul and Tyson fight that happened on Friday night. And we're going to talk about, was there a little shit, something a little funny, something a little freaky with that? And we're going to just delve into that a little bit. And when the entire panel is going to discuss that, and everybody can have an opinion about that. And then we're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about the presidential and congressional elections that took place in November 5th and the results of those, what it could mean for our future, and how we see things changing politically in this country. So this will be really, really interesting as we take on our tasty beverages tonight. Like I said, the first beverage will be the Tyson Paul fight, and the second beverage is we're going to talk about the election on night, November 5th.
Let me get that together for you, Q, so you can let the people know exactly what the heck's going on. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. First of all, a roundtable wrap-up, election year in review mirror. What lies ahead for the USA? And we have our special guest panelist, Mr. Mark Anthony Wolanowski, Mr. Kelly Michael Williams, Mr. Howard Powell, and Ms. Melissa Klink joining us tonight. And as always, we're just so grateful to have them on board. And they're going to be coming on from time to time post-election season as things occur in the future as well. So, guys, give them some love tonight as they come on board. And secondly, also we're going to talk about the Tyson fight. So with that being said, Lanny, back to you, brother.
What was the Tyson fight? The Tyson fight, yeah.
That was Friday night.
Okay. Yep. All right, cool. All right. Well, we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna just jump right into social speaking. Hopefully, Kenny will join in a little bit.
Kenny will be with us in a momento.
I want to give a shout out to Miles Walker. Welcome to the show, Miles. I want to give a shout out to Darlene Collins, to Joanne Jenkins, and so many others who are just jumping on board. We love you guys and appreciate your support. And as always, this is the show where you. So we look forward to hearing.
Was doing fantastic at the beginning, landing some big shots and knocking Jake around the ring. But that changed.
Hold on, let me back this up because I want y'all to hear this content. I want y'all to hear this guy's analogy or theory on what he thought.
Here's some evidence you might have missed. Tyson was doing fantastic at the beginning, landing some big shots and knocking Jake around the ring. But that changed when Paul clenched with Tyson. It's alleged he whispered into Tyson's ear to cool it, and the message was confirmed received by Tyson with the affirming tap on the back. After that moment, Tyson became a stick in the mud, standing directly in front of Paul with no more aggressiveness to him. Like here, for instance, Tyson can see the right hand plain as day and makes no attempt to slip it. My next reason is Tyson was definitely pulling his punches. Tyson looked as if he was struggling to hold back and not throw punches at Paul. Here's a perfect example. Tyson deflects the shot off his shoulder, comes up in perfect position to land a counter right hand, but does nothing. Very uncharacteristic. And my final reason is Tyson biting his glove. The reason he was doing this was to remind himself not to throw punches and let Jake control the pace.
Okay. Let's let's examine. You know what I mean? All right, who watched the fight, first of all? Who watched the fight?
I did. In its entirety. A couple of times.
Mark, you watched it?
I watched it.
You watched it, Mark? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
How would you see it?
Yeah, I watched it.
Melissa, you said you did not see it.
Melissa, check your mic. Check your mic one time. I just want to make sure your voice is coming through good.
My apologies. I was muted.
Oh, there
I
you
did
go.
not see it. I did not watch
Okay,
it.
how about you, Mike?
I watched it. That's all right.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to jump in first.
Hey,
you
Mimi.
guys give me your opinion. I don't agree with that video at all. As I stated prior to the fight, and I'm gonna still stick to that. I'm gonna tell you who's undefeated. Father Time is undefeated. Mike Tyson was 50 years old. Father Time is undefeated. I think there were things that he wanted to do. His body and mind wanted to do it. His mind wanted to do it, but his body wouldn't let him do it. And it's one thing going out there and fighting when you're 30 years old. But at 58 years old, like I said, Father Time is undefeated. And as far as pulling his punches and things, I just think he couldn't get them off. He wanted to. Plus, I think his knee was not as healthy as it could have been as well. And I'll have some more to say about that, but I'll let you guys give your opinion. I have some real stuff behind that.
Really?
Mark, you can jump in first.
My opinion, I disagree with your assessment. I think they both should have been paid, and that's exactly what we saw. We saw Mike how strong, hit Jake a couple times, back, and they got a little clinch, and there was a complete outbreak from there. I tend to believe because it's something that they had to and they brought out the 8 rounds and they collected a paycheck. The best fight that night was the 2 girls.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No question. No question. Mike, what do you think, Michael?
I think Father Time did catch up with him. I think he was very unstable. I mean, you know, he didn't have any balance at all when he was throwing his punches or when he was getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like there was a number of times that he could have thrown punches that he didn't. I mean, I was looking for times when he did get in close where he didn't let that traditional or that textbook kidney uppercut shot go when
Right.
so many times that he could have done that, he didn't do it. And but also when he walked out, he just didn't look energized. I mean, he looked his eyes, the way he
Oh,
looked in his eyes
huh,
when he
interesting.
came out from the locker room.
I
He didn't have
completely
that
agree.
same vigor or like that instinct in him. He looked nervous when he came out.
Lenny, we've had a request for you to take the music down a little bit, if you could, please,
Oh,
from our
okay,
guest.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
okay.
And at the same time, I think hey, it was about the money. It wasn't so much about the fight.
Yes, yes.
I think the
Howard, you have a
memes have been
comment?
pretty awesome though.
Yeah.
The memes that they've been sharing where he was in the jacket and came out in the tiny
Yeah.
underoos, right? Like that was pretty funny. So
Howard, you have a comment yet?
Internet is
What was
undefeated.
that? What was that again, Melissa?
there's a couple memes that I've seen, like on social media and stuff, where he came out in the jacket and like the little underwear, and they're like, "What happens when you let your toddler dress themselves?" And it was
Oh,
like it was just real funny. Like he walked away in the locker room, and like his butt cheeks were right there, and everybody just saw Mike Tyson's butt cheeks. So I thought that was the
Oh
pop
yeah.
culture part of it. I caught, but I wasn't watching that. I don't know if you guys know, but like election season hasn't ended for me. I'm still in a runoff with one of my clients, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't even
did see
remember
that.
when that was because I was working.
I did see that when he had his ass out, basically.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
he was coming out of a like he was going into surgery. You know, they give you one of those tops to
right.
put on,
Yeah,
and your
and
ass all out, Mike. You know what I mean?
serious.
You be like, hold on.
And he was so serious too. Like that was the best part about it. He was like, "All right, I'm walking off," and like
I'm out.
so. I mean, he's Mike Tyson. So.
Howard,
Arden,
you
what you think?
Go ahead, Howard.
Oh, good.
Oh man, listen. The more I looked at it, the more I realized it was more about the money though, because I really think just from watching Tyson pre-workout, his fight videos, he's a killer in there, and he definitely didn't look like the killer. Uh, I think it was for the money, but I'm with his knee too, though. In my mind, I'm like, if he really step into a punch and with that knee, he gonna go down. So, you know, I I don't know, but once he got hit and he hit him with the old man, hit him with the old man clap back, I was like, oh man, this is elder abuse. Oh man, get Joe Biden out the ring. This is how I felt. I was like, yo, get him out of there. He
oh
just didn't have
man.
that. He didn't have a regular fight. It was a you beating up the old man thing. I like, so
Say what?
I realized it's for the but
Arden,
it was good to see.
give us your opinion, Arden. I want to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah, and for y'all that don't know, Arden is
Martial artist.
yeah, Arden competed. So he knows the fight game extremely well. This guy taught me so much about the fight game. He taught me how to watch the fights, to really watch to see what's going on. So Arden, I'm curious as to your professional opinion.
Well, I mean, let's definitely understand that as much talking that went on when the fight started, you could see that neither one was in there to hurt the other guy because from what I saw, it was possible. Mike definitely looked like he didn't move well at all.
No, I agree.
Even walking in, it was just funny. Somebody said he looked like he didn't have it walking out. I remember saying to people when he was walking out, I was like, man, he looks like he's getting older as he's getting to the ring. I'm just saying.
Y'all got jokes tonight. All of y'all got jokes tonight.
Come on now.
On the way to the ring, you know what I'm saying?
Arden, did you see him stumble when he walked to the ring, Arden?
Yeah, because that was my first thing. And then when I started seeing him move around, and I was like,
That is crazy.
and even his footwork, it was compromised.
Oh God.
So
I hear you, brother.
after the fight, the guy asked him, he was like, it looks like your leg was hurt, Mike. And Mike was like, no, well, I don't have no excuses. Whether it's hurt or not, I had to be here. So
Yeah.
it was what it was. And it sounds like he did have an injury to his leg and mobility for somebody his size. When you have to make up distance, you have to close distance. What made Mike a tremendous opponent was the fact that he closed so very quickly with head movement, throwing double, triple jabs, and then throwing 4 and 5 to 8 punch combinations from somebody that could go into a mindset of just being a bruiser and a knockout artist and thinking that I can knock you out with one punch. But initially, what made Mike incredible is that he had that power, that knockout power, but he worked like
Oh,
a technician,
yeah,
meaning
yeah,
he operated having you distracted for something, and then he's hitting you with combinations that one punch would be devastating.
yeah,
So that's really what made him scary. Because if you
yeah,
ever got shaken, it was more than that. Whatever you got glanced with, it was more than that coming, and from different angles. So him not being able to change angles or close the distance, it was over for him when I saw him in by the second round. He
yeah.
can't move. He's
Well, I
got
got
him.
one other thing that I heard, Natural, and I mean, and the rest of the panel. I don't know how true this is, but I understand that Paul made 40 million for the fight, and Tyson got 20 million for the fight, and I understand it was contingent upon him going the 8 rounds. And my brother Lenny said something to me before the fight. If you guys remember during the weigh-in, Mike slapped Jake Paul. He slapped him before the
Yeah,
fight.
stepping on the foot.
And Lenny said then that there was something fishy about that. And I kind of agreed with him. I said showmanship. It was like WWE type stuff. And I think
Yeah.
there could have been some sort of gentleman's agreement. Okay, let's just get through this. Let's get our money. Let's get our money. It's gonna go. This fight is gonna go through eight rounds. Let's not hurt each other and let's get this money. And that could have been it. I'm not sure if that was the case or not, but that has been rumored. Anybody got any comment on that?
So
Man,
I
Jake,
just that leads me to my segue. I'm sorry, Howard. That leads me to my segue of the question that's on the screen there, because we gave our general thoughts on the fight. Was this fight? I'm not gonna say fixed, or was it like scripted, or because on YouTube you see a lot of scam and they like certain people. Even I think Roy Jones Jr. is who he
Yeah,
fought last, right? Even
yeah,
he
he was
said it was something not
yeah, now.
quite right. So what do you guys think? Was it somewhat scripted or kind of planned out to? Was this the biggest host since?
I mean, I kind of feel like the Mayweather and Conor McGregor. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like I think like I said, it was like the Great White Hype. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of like, and you gotta remember Jake Paul got his own gambling website. You know what I mean? So he betting on himself, right? They always betting on
Yeah,
themselves. So I definitely think the fix was in. You know what I mean? But it gave Mike his last hurrah. Gave everybody out here who love Mike a last chance to see him in the flesh.
uh-huh,
You know what I mean? And it's entertainment at the end of the
yeah.
day. And Jake Paul is a
WWE
entertainment
style.
genius,
Yeah,
and he packed out the arena for Mike
yeah,
Tyson. So you know what I mean? I definitely think it was I ain't gonna say fixed, but it's definitely entertainment. It wasn't
yeah,
set up for Mike to win.
yeah.
Hmm.
Anybody? Anybody else got any comments before we move on?
That was the block you was just
I'll
talking about.
probably this will only be the time I say this tonight, but I agree with Howard.
Don't forget the last conversation we had. You agreed a lot
let's
too.
let's 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 make a record of that at 8:23, 8:23 Tuesday, November 19th. Listen, Howard agreed. Okay. All right, look, we're gonna keep it moving, y'all. We're gonna keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving.
We're gonna keep it
And he
moving.
said he's 30 minutes away. That he'll get on in 30 minutes.
I think it
Okay.
was fixed. I think it was fixed. I think it definitely was fixed. So look, tonight our feature segment. I want to welcome back the round table, man. You guys have been absolutely fantastic and spot on. Let me get Melissa on the screen because we got Michael on there twice. You guys have absolutely been spot on with your commentary, your information, your knowledge, and everything else through the whole election season. So thank you. And, shout outs to everybody for coming back to say no matter if my candidate or the person that I'm voting for wins or loses, I'm a man up and come on and do what I got. That's huge. I really got to give y'all shout outs to that.
Respect.
No doubt. No, much respect because, I know, Howard, you've been waiting for this moment. I know you've been waiting, and I got to eat. What do you call it? What is it? Eat. What is it?
Humble
Eat crow.
pie.
Eat humble pie or eat crow or whatever it is. I'm gonna eat some crow tonight. But anyway, tonight we examine how and why the election was won by Donald Trump. Curious Minds wants to know. Let's take a look at the video. We're gonna chop it up on the other side. Hopefully, Kenny is coming with us when we do that. Let's check it out, y'all.
Was won by Donald Trump, and therefore, as you see on your screen, we are now projecting that the next president of the United States is Donald Trump.
He will reclaim the White House. The 45th president of the United States will become the 47th president of the United States, being elected for non-consecutive terms, a feat that has not been achieved since Grover Cleveland did it back in 1892. And there's the map. 276 electoral votes. You can see how he did it there. The blue wall has been shattered once again. Wisconsin putting him over. Chuck Todd is standing by the big board. We're going to take a look at precisely how he was able to do it in Wisconsin. But Chuck, President-elect Donald J. Trump.
And more importantly, he's going to win the popular vote. It's not done yet. It's, there's still more, but it's very likely. This is not like 2016 or 2020. He's going to be only the second Republican to win the popular vote this century. And by the way, we are now going to have 3 straight one-term presidents. The last time this country elected 3 straight one-term presidents was when a guy named Grover Cleveland won non-consecutive terms. It was in the aftermath of the Civil War, of post-Reconstruction. And frankly, I do think an era that rhymes with the era we're living in now. We were fighting about who's an American. It was a very divisive time. We had 6 straight presidential elections then, decided by 5 points or less. We are now on our 6 out of the last 7 in this country decided by 5 points or less. But let's take a look here, because in many ways, how he won Wisconsin is how he won Pennsylvania, is how he won there. So let me just show you. Here's Harris in Milwaukee County. This is what she was counting on here, just so you can see here. She just didn't get the same amount of vote out here. Just, and look, we're talking a state only decided by 30,000 votes, but she lost a little bit of ground there. Then you look at Dane County. She lost just a little bit of ground there to him. And it was just a little bit everywhere. And then you go and take a look at a place like Brown County, and Trump gained a little bit in all of his red counties. And you go along the lake here, and he gained a little bit. In fact, what were the Harris folks counting on in the northern tier? That in these rural counties, older white women would come over to their side. But his improvement among Hispanics, among younger voters, particularly men, clearly created the combination here, because it is similar across the board. The college towns were not as Democratic. The urban areas, turnout wasn't as much. And even in the suburbs, the turnout for Democrats was good, not great. And they needed great, especially if they were going to continue to lose the amount of Hispanic voters that they ended up losing tonight.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking
All right,
news
Lester.
and top stories on the NBC
Lester
News app,
Global
or follow
Holt.
us on social media.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you, Mr. Holt. All right, let's take these one at a time. We got all of them up on the screen, but go ahead. Who's up top there? Q, you're going to have to take it because Kenny's not here.
I want to ask the panel, and I'm going to start, Melissa, I'm going to start with you first, and we're going to work our way up. What was the biggest surprise of the Trump? And remember, as you give these answers, you have people coming behind you, so try not to go on too long, but because we have a lot of ground to cover. But what was the biggest surprise for you in Trump's victory in 2024? President-elect Trump's victory in 2024. What was the biggest surprise for you, Melissa? You turn your mic on.
I would say that the fact that we didn't lose. Oh, no, my mic's on.
Yeah, it's on. Go ahead.
It's on.
You good? Right. You good?
Okay, so I would say the biggest surprise for me was that we didn't win any swing states. So that was the biggest. And then we were really, really excited about the turnout, and especially seeing the female turnout. I think the last time we talked, the female turnout, and we were really excited to see the youth turnout. So we were hoping that women and youth would carry us, and that's not the case. So I think those would be my 2 biggest surprises.
Okay, Howard.
Oh, I had no surprises. I already knew what was going to happen. Nah, but I don't know. I really wasn't surprised. I kind of knew what was going to happen. Yeah, I really was not surprised at all. I said it when we ended the last one. He was going to win, and the landslide wasn't even going to be close. I think I stood on that, so it was no surprise to me.
Now, Howard, I will add this. I remember you and Mark both saying that you thought there was a chance that he could sweep all of the swing states. That did come to fruition. And Mark, I remember both of us, the three of us, we having that conversation that you thought there was a chance he could sweep all the swing states. You didn't find that surprising. Neither one. I'm gonna go to you first, Mark. You didn't find that? Did you find that surprising at all?
No, you and I had conversations way before the election in private chat.
Yeah.
I kind of told my feelings, and I'm going to stay close, Howard. I knew this was probably going to be really nice based on what I see in Illinois. Illinois is a fairly blue state, never really was Republican, and there was hell for Trump support, even in the county. And if you look at the numbers, the Chicagoland area and Colorado counties that are highly Democrat, it was like 49, 48. I think Chicago has 40% of Republican votes in Chicago. So when I was looking at that stuff, I think it's not even close. And it was.
Okay. All right. Well, Michael, I'm gonna go to you, and I want to hear what you have to say about this, Michael. What was the most surprising thing to you?
I think the most surprising thing to me was two things. One, the blue wall did not hold with as much time that she spent in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and the push in those states also with the abortion issue and how that didn't hold. But more importantly, how so many less people came and turned out to vote in this election than in the 2020 election. You had what was it? 12. I think it was 12 million less votes in this time around than he did before. Harris had more than was it 8 million less votes than Biden had, and the difference here too is that you had the two jackoffs, Jill Stein and Kennedy, taking up 1.5 million votes, which had Harris got those 1.5 million votes because they voted for Jill Stein Green Party, which means they probably weren't going to vote for Trump. And even though a lot of those folks for Kennedy were out there, the idea that him being a quote unquote Kennedy family, that's 1.5 million votes that had they gone to Harris, she would have won by a slim margin, 77 million to 76 million. So you look at the fact that folks did not turn out, even though we had a push for turnout, and it seemed as if women and people were on the side of like moving forward and really behind her. They ultimately didn't show up, and they didn't vote for it. They went the other way.
So let me follow up on that, Q, because you bring up some very curious points. Like you're saying that the voter turnout didn't come out for Harris like we thought it was. What was your thoughts about? I mean, just your personal opinion. What was the disconnect, or why did that happen?
There's going to be a few reasons why. One is because I think I don't know if I said it on this show or the other show. There's a lot of times that voters just don't feel like they can vote for or trust a woman. It's very clear that Hillary Clinton was very qualified to run the country, run the nation. Even with her assumed baggage, she was very qualified to do the job. Probably one of the most qualified than anyone else, similar to Kamala Harris. Both these women were pretty much more qualified than anyone else that has run for office, including Donald Trump, than anyone before. They've had the political experience, they've had the legal background, they've had the knowledge, they've had the capacity and capability, but they're both women. Now, one was a white woman, one was a black woman, but they're both women. And in this case, too, I think it's very hard for people to pull that trigger. We did it for a black man. right? But again, he was a man. I don't see them willing, and I didn't see them willing to do it for a black woman.
Wow.
And that's from the Democratic side. Now, if you can vote 81 million for Joe Biden, and you elected her with Joe Biden, I feel that you should have then, under the circumstances of what Joe Biden was saying, what Kamala Harris was saying, where we look and see where the nation was going, you would have then supported her just like you supported Joe Biden. But you got 8 million people who didn't even come out and vote for her that voted for Joe Biden.
Very interesting point. You're
Howard, you had
right.
something to respond to that, Howard?
Yeah. So my thing is, one, we gotta remember 2020. Most of those extra people, they voted out of fear, right? And then we was all sitting down, right? So I witnessed it here in Atlanta, where they was literally like, this year there wasn't no food trucks outside, there wasn't no giveaways, all the stuff that had those small minority groups coming out in large groves. They took all those incentives away for them to come out and vote, right? So now you sitting here 2024, and it's not. It does have something maybe to do with having a woman running and everything else like that. But at the end of the day, people are paying attention to what's going on in their reality, right? So people like to try to focus on whether it's a woman. She just wasn't the right person for the job. It was a swindle how she got in there. She didn't earn her way to the presidential nominee. She was given the presidential nomination. She didn't fight for it. Everybody else fought for it. So nobody was ready for it because she didn't really say anything. She was counting like Melissa said. She was counting on the women and the youth. And unfortunately, there's more important issues than just those abortion rights. And so they were counting on playing on people's emotions, and it failed because at the end of the day, people are looking at their pockets and they're looking at the reality of things that's going on. So it's not a throw off to we're not ready for a woman. It's not that. It's not that. We needed to move forward from a bad situation, and that's what it was. And people seen that.
We weren't in a bad situation.
Yeah, no,
We
I
have
want to thank you, Michael, for
August
making
to
sure,
May.
just from women everywhere. Thank you for pointing the obvious out, right? So that that
I
we
mean,
know
you
that
can say you weren't in a bad
President, but
situation,
I'm
but
speaking again,
I
Howard.
would like,
the
let me
people.
hear the woman's perspective on that. If you say it wasn't about a woman, but Melissa, what say you?
Yeah, so I want to say that definitely I agree with Michael, and I appreciate him being a man and speaking to that issue first, right? That the misogyny and racism absolutely played a role in this election. Did it play the entire role? Absolutely not, right? There was a lot of different things, a lot of different reasons why people were left at home. I think, Howard, it's really unfair for you to say that people came out because they were incited, like they were, what's the word you use for the food trucks, like they came,
They were
They were
yeah,
incentivized
incentivized.
for food.
I think that's a
It's
little
just your
bit
story.
ridiculous, right?
I knew
I
you
will
wasn't
say,
gonna let that one go past. Go ahead, Melissa.
right.
Go-
I will say, I just think it's disrespectful to the electorate, right? To say that because I put tacos outside the polling location, that was enough to compel you to come and vote. I just think that's disrespectful, right? So, but there's a ton of reasons,
Yo,
and especially in Democratic circles where we've been really soul searching on the ways that in which we could have reached out to more of the electorate. But I think it's irresponsible of us to not admit that misogyny and racism absolutely played a role in what happened with the results, especially because the numbers tell us that, right? Because in between, Joe Biden received more votes than overall than both Hillary and Kamala, right? So, and the only difference in that, like looking at it in broad scale, is that he's the white male in this picture that we're talking about. Now, I do agree, Howard, in 2020 that people were voting out of fear, and they were voting because they didn't want someone who had led us into disaster with the COVID response to be our president anymore. And I think that happened again, right? They were just voting in the opposite direction out of fear and out of the unknown and what they didn't know. And, it's very disappointing. And it was kind of hard to hear, Howard, when you said that it wasn't enough, that abortion rights, that it was an emotional play. We're talking about my life when we're talking about that, right? So since then, like I have no problem sharing this with you. Since then, I don't know if you have women in your life, but we have a yearly pap smear that we have to have, right? So since then, I've had to have that, and I don't get emotional about elections, right? But when I'm in the gynecologist's office, I had to sit there and think, like, what if this isn't available to me and other women after this? And don't shake your head, because in 2016, I had the same people who voted like you guys do try to tell me that Roe v. Wade was settled law, and that was a lie. That was a lie. They changed it. They did what they wanted to do. So I have to worry about people like me who have uteruses and what's going to happen to them because these kinds of people are in power now. So it's not an emotional plea. It's not to draw on to make anyone feel sorry for us. It's the fact of I should have the right to my body just like you. And, it was really depressing. And I still haven't had an opportunity to sit with the fact that me protecting my body and being able to say what happens to my body and what I do with my body wasn't enough to compel, especially women, to vote in our favor.
I want to
you know what,
segue. I want to
You say
segue
that, like it was an
to.
emotional.
That being said,
Arden,
that
Arden, won't
changes.
you? Yeah,
That's
go
what
ahead,
I'm
Arden.
trying to do right now. With that being said, that changes right into my next question. And right now I'm gonna stay with you, Melissa, because I definitely understand what you mean by that. But what does that mean for
Yeah.
the future direction for the United States and long term impacts to the fundamental change to our democracy?
I'm really concerned for where we are headed as a nation, and I think anybody who isn't is because they're happy their guy won. Congratulations to y'all. But I think all Americans are in trouble. I think that we are going to suffer. I think the next 2 years is going to be really bad for Americans as a whole, and I think that you're not going to realize that until it's too late. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to protect our institutions in the midterms. But and I know that you think it's funny, Howard, but it's we're talking about things that are going to really damage people, especially poor people in our society. And what that's going to do is going to continue to drain on us, and we're going to cut taxes for as many people as we can, which means we're going to deprive the base of our basic programs that we rely on, things like the fire department, things like the library, programs like Head Start. So it's going to be enormous. I think that unfortunately, what people like Michael and myself have to do is focus on our local communities, make sure the infrastructure is still there, fill the gaps in where we can, and hope that the damage that's done, that I'm picturing, RFK going to be in charge of vaccines now. I'm hoping that somewhere right now that there's a good person hiding the codes to make sure that we have that technology and we have those resources, and they don't have someone come in and just burn all this science down because it's that doesn't align with their own agenda. So we're definitely going to sort of shelter in place and watch what's going to happen, but historically, we see time and time again, Republicans will run the economy into the ground, and then Democrats come and save the day, and then everybody forgets that Democrats saved the day, and then they vote a Republican in. So the pendulum's going to swing. This is not the last time that you see a Democratic president. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, we hope.
There is a chance for them to change the Constitution out
Yeah,
at
it's
the House.
scary. There's a lot of things that they can get away with. You're not wrong.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Mark, I want to bring you back into the conversation here. You've heard some of the responses here, and before we do, I just got to add one thing. I just have to push back a little bit. When we said racism played a part, well, weren't we the same country that did elect a black president? Didn't we elect a black president? I can understand the women part of it, maybe, but as far as racism, I don't think. Just my opinion, I don't think race was the major issue as much as gender may have been. I think gender may have been a stronger issue because we have elected a black president twice, elected him and
He was
re-elected.
also a man.
Yeah. That's what I said.
And a black vice president
Gender
as
was
well.
more of an issue than race.
Yeah.
I don't
think it was a sole issue. I don't think it was a sole issue, but I think it did have something to do with it. We can't say it didn't have anything to do with it.
It could have something. But go ahead, Mark.
So obviously, Trump won. I've been a Trump supporter since 2018, so I don't hide that. And then I never hid it. But it's funny to listen to Michael and Melissa and not ask yourself, why did you guys lose? People are sick of racism, misogyny, the Hitler, they're sick of being called names. The person they are in favor of on the president is a bad person. So
Am I the only one having trouble hearing him?
I am. I'm really having a difficult time
We're having a
hearing
little trouble hearing you, Mark. Could you do me a favor,
It's
Mark?
so bad. I'm
Could you
trying to listen to you, Mark. I just can't hear
come
you.
back in if you could.
You're breaking up a little bit.
And
Maybe log off and log back on.
I just can't hear you at all.
Call back in, Mark, if you could, please.
All right, I'll do that.
So we definitely want to hear your. We
I thought it
definitely
was
want to hear your
I'm
point.
sorry.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I guess
Yeah.
Arden,
So
go ahead.
I'm with
Arden.
my.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just going to go straight up the aisle, actually. Um, but Howard, what is your play on where do you think things
So
are going in the future? What direction do you see for the United States in the future with this leadership? What fundamental changes do you see that could occur in our democracy? Now they got a royal flush, so what do you think?
So first, I want to look back real quick, right? So we already had Trump for 4 years, right? And if you remember, the same rhetoric that people are pushing now is the same rhetoric that they was pushing when he was elected. Oh, fear this. He's going to put people in slaves. He's going to take this from people. We're going to go to the third war. This, they, all negativity, right? He was in there for 4 years,
Because
and
that's what he
nothing.
said, though. He said he was going to do that shit, though. That's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
So
no,
he
no.
said, he said,
Hold on, Howard. We don't have a whole lot of time to be going
no,
back
no,
and
no, no.
forth
I'm just
right
going.
now.
No, I'm
Thank
just
you,
going back.
man.
I'm just
Yeah,
going
he
back.
was.
my bad. My
Hear me
bad. Go
out.
ahead. Go ahead, Howard. My
I just
bad.
want to say that
Let me
all I'm
just
saying is the
answer
fear,
the
the fear
question.
tactic.
No.
All I'm
I
saying
need
is
you
the
to answer
fear
the
tactics,
question.
right? I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer. I'm
No,
gonna answer. I'm
because
gonna
we're
answer.
going
So
back.
going
I got
forward,
two other people I need to answer. So let's
right?
go
So going
forward.
forward.
What do you think
So
is
so go.
direction?
So I'm saying the direction is going to be hard to change because the narrative that's being pushed by anti-Trump, right? Everything is negative. Okay, so the trajectory that we're going, I think we're going to be fine. All
Where we
right, I think we're
going?
going to have peace. I think we're going to have peace in America, right? I think we'll have world peace in America, no wars, just like we did for the first 4 years. I think financially, a lot of people are going to rebound. If you think about cryptocurrency, just since Trump has been elected, most cryptocurrencies, especially big in that, is up over
I look
40,
cryptocurrency very
50%.
well. It was gonna do. It was gonna do what it's doing right
It's,
now
it's, it's
before the
not. It's not.
president
Don't
was
don't
impeached.
believe that. Don't
Look,
believe that. You can't. You
I,
can't. Arden. Arden. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. Let
almost
me
gave
explain
you
to you. Because the
that was
reason
gonna happen.
you can't.
That was
If it was going to do that, if it was going to do that, why did it do it when it did it? You think if Kamala Harris would have got into the presidency, you think the cryptocurrency was going to go shoot
yeah,
up like that? You're out of your mind.
yes.
You're
Yes
out of
is
your
my
mind.
answer, and I
Absolutely
can
not.
tell you the
Well, True
fundamentals, but I don't
Social
have time.
purchased cryptocurrency.
What impact? What other impacts do you have, and do you think any democracy, any fundamentals will change?
No, I don't think. I don't think none. Honestly, I don't think that's going to change. I think America is going to be just fine. I think we're going to have the same, if not greater, opportunities. I don't see people's rights being taken away. Right. I see that the system that they may be used to may not operate the same way. But saying that somebody's rights are being taken away, that's crazy. I don't think any. I just think that it's going to be a lot of fear mongering for the next 4 years. But I'm glad that they had a clean sweep because now we can actually see and progress and then really have a truthful judge at the end of the 4 years.
Okay,
Well, that's
perfect.
true.
Mark, where are you at with everything? What do you see direction wise, long term? Any fundamental changes to our democracy?
All right, first off, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Much
much
better.
better.
Yeah.
Much better.
So much better.
All right, good. So I'll just kind of piggyback off what Howard said. I think this is the United States of America. We've been in good times, we've been in bad times. We always come out. We've always had Republican, Democrat presidents. People that have their beliefs. I get it. I understand it. I think we're going to be just fine. What I don't agree with is they're already saying Trump's going to do all these bad things. He's not even in office yet. No one gives him a chance. We're going to be in this vicious cycle of the media is going to try and bash Trump for the next 4 years. I'm grateful that at least we have the government, we have the House, the Senate, we have the White House, so we can pass some legislation to get things through without bucking the system. I mean, last time we were in impeachment from day one, and he wasted 2.5 years of fighting these impeachment hoaxes, and nothing really got done inside government. What I'd really like to see, though, is for both sides to reach across the aisle. I think America has spoken. America has spoken. And if you look at the electoral, or at least the popular vote, it's 74,085 million for Kamala and 76,000. We're almost at 50-50 as a
Yeah.
nation.
Right.
I get it. Some people are mad to come out and win. They think they're going to lose all their rights. I don't think it's going to happen. It didn't happen under his first term. It's not going to happen under this term. But he is going to shake things up. He's going to appoint people that aren't, lifelong bureaucrats into positions of power to shake things up. That's who Trump is, and he's going to shake up the status quo. It's going to happen. You can see his appointments already. Whether you agree with them or not, he's gonna appoint them, and the majority of them are going to get confirmed. There's a couple questionable ones that I don't think will make it through, and I hope we don't have to resort to the recess appointments. But if we're talking about recess appointments, every president has done that. Obama, Clinton, Trump, they've done it in some form.
That didn't pass today.
So
let me. That's a very interesting point, man. And a lot of what you said was kind of positive, I would say, as far as, you hope that things don't, I hope things don't pan out as bad as the 2025 rhetoric and everything else that's going on. I am a little leery of some of the appointments. We're going to get to that in a second. But I did want to shift, and I really wanted to get Michael's and Melissa's opinion on.
Let me chime in if you don't mind with Arden's question.
Okay,
Yeah.
Go right ahead. And then you could pick up on question number 3 at the bottom of the screen as well.
All right, so let me help Mark and Howard understand that rights have already been taken away. Roe v. Wade has been overturned. So that's a right that women had that they no longer have. So to say that rights aren't going to be taken away, that's a fallacy because it already happened. In terms of the economy is better today than it was under Trump. The stock market is higher today than it was under Trump. People are getting more money in their pocket today than they were under Trump. In terms of no wars, we don't have any wars in America under Trump. We haven't had any wars in America under Biden. There are no wars that America is fighting. America is not fighting any wars today, just like they weren't fighting any wars then. And as far as fear-mongering, the only fear-mongering is coming from Trump. We're listening to what Trump said.
You don't even believe that.
We're listening to what Trump said. Trump said he was going to be a dictator on day one. Trump said that he was going to let Putin do whatever the hell he wanted to do and Israel do whatever the hell he wanted to do. Trump said that he was going to punish women for having abortions. He said that. He said they should be criminally prosecuted. Those are words out of Trump's mouth. So Melissa and I aren't doing or saying anything that Trump didn't already say. So in terms of democracy and what's going to happen, Mark brought it up. The appointments. None of his appointments, with very few exceptions, I'm generalizing, but with very few exceptions, are qualified for any of the positions that they're being appointed to.
There's a difference in shaking up and not being
Trump
qualified.
also just said, Trump just told the Senate, Truth Social, do not confirm any more judges until I get there. He's not president. He has no authority or anything else to say that. But he's sending a signal to Republican senators to not confirm any more judges in the lame duck session that normally happens under every presidency. They fill the last vacancies that they have. Every president does that, right? Trump did it. Biden will do it. Obama did it. Bush did it. Every president does that. Trump has already sent the message telling you, don't do that. He also sent the message, which is a credit to Mark, which told them to go into recess so that he can do recess appointments. Under recess appointments, those appointments will stay there 210 days and have an option to come back for another 210 days, which means that they can be there for nearly 2 years, right? And under those 2 years, they can do whatever the hell they want to do because they are recess appointments. He can also put in acting secretaries of state, acting secretaries of or AGs and things of that nature. And those individuals can stay there too until they actually get confirmed, which I think is a year and a half. So under that, that's how he will become the dictator. Because what he's doing is he's not going to do it in a aggressive or fascist way. He's going to do it very subtly and very calm. He's saying, hey, Senate, you don't get to change, you don't get to investigate the people I'm appointing. So we don't have any hearings. So the public will not find out anything bad about them or anything about their background because I'm going to recess appoint them and no one will ever know who they are, what baggage they bring, or what their true motives are. Under a recess appointment, the American public will never know anything about them. Under a appointment as a acting appointment, the American public will know nothing about them. The only way the American public will find out about who these individuals are is through a Senate confirmation, which then has a FBI investigation. So what else has happened? Trump has not signed any of the documents that he has to sign as president-elect to start FBI and background investigations on himself and all of his appointments, which means that there will be no background investigation on any of the appointments that he has over the 15 that he has so far that he's announced publicly, that will have a background investigation so that the American public would know who they are, if there's anything in their background that we need to know, or anything else. Matt Gaetz, for instance, resigning from the House after he got elected was to stop the ethics committee from being able to put out his report. Now, he can still come back in January and get sworn in, and that report may never come out if he does not get confirmed or appointed as Attorney General, which he's not qualified for. So that's how the democracy is going to be impacted, because every one of those secretaries for every one of those agencies will have the authority to change the policies and do whatever they want to do under their acting role, where the American public will have no influence on them or be able to, advocate their senators to say, no, don't vote for them, this person, don't vote for that person. So everything that we're talking about has been said and done. So I get it that Mark and Howard are not fearful. That's because that's their guy. They should not have any fear. That's their guy.
Right.
Now, if we're going to be real honest, get rid of all the politics and everything else, there is no way in hell that they would allow Mark or Howard that to happen with Joe Biden, that to happen with Kamala, that to happen under Barack or anyone else. Now, that's
how do people say that? That's not true.
I would be the same way. It would be partisanship for me to say, absolutely let Kamala do that, absolutely let Biden do that. But if we're going to be true Americans, if we're going to be true, democracy-intended individuals, we would say right here, right now, hell no, we can't do that. Hell no, you shouldn't do that. But we're not going to do that.
I think that's crazy to say when you got half of America disagreeing with you. If you have the popular people who disagree with you, that's what you're saying.
Voted under the same fear that you talked about. Because
no, we're talking about a pandemic. No, don't. No, the fear I'm talking about was the COVID fear.
I literally already said that. I'm not sure why you're objecting.
It's a different fear. The COVID fear and the fear now is two different fears.
No, Howard.
That's 100% fact.
Created 100% fear among the American people, and they bought it. He told them that Kamala was going to do this, Kamala was going to do that, Kamala was going to do that. Now, Kamala
y'all did the same thing with Trump, and it didn't work. So you can't say that.
Kamala said the same thing about Trump. Okay? Kamala said the same thing about Trump. The difference with what Kamala said, in my opinion, the difference in what Kamala said compared to what Trump said was that Kamala used Trump's own words to say what he said. Trump used projection to say what Kamala was going to do. He said
so
she was going to
always use. How come? Okay, so answer me this. Answer me this real quick. How come nobody ever listens to Trump words when it came to his policies? Right. So he had a whole line of policies. Right. Proposition 47. Hold on. You can go to. You could hold on. Listen. Let me finish. You can go right. You can go right to his website. You can read all of his policies. Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish?
I want you to tell me.
Can you let me? Yo, this is why, like, good conversation, right? I let you talk. Let me finish, right? There's a whole, listen, can I finish? Trump had a whole website with all his policies and procedures on what he was going to do as president, right? But somehow, everybody wants to push Project 2025. People would have rather read, hold on, be quiet. He would have rather read Project 2025, which he said out of his own mouth, right? That's the thing. Out of his own mouth, what he says, he literally said out of his own mouth, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. Nothing at all. But yet, all you hear is, I'm scared of Project 2025. Have y'all read Project 2025? Come to my house, Project 2025. And he had nothing to do with it, but what he actually wrote, none of y'all read.
Can I interject now?
Can you tell us something?
I want to jump. Oh, go ahead, Ard.
One second. Kenny,
you said 2025 is not in there.
Howard,
can you tell us what you voted for?
Let me remind you two things. You did not give me a policy.
No.
That's first. Right. Secondly, Donald Trump had a meeting at the Heritage Foundation where he introduced 2025, Project 2025.
No, he did not.
Go back and look at the video. Go back and look at the video.
I do this.
He was at the Heritage Foundation right here in Washington, D.C., where he turned and said, the Heritage Foundation, the Leader Heritage Foundation, has a great project called Project 2025, and
That's
we're
on
going to do
video.
great things with it. Go back and
Hey,
listen to it.
can
Now,
can we
Okay.
can we shift
I mean,
can we
it's
shift
just
to
anything
Q's
for our
question here?
project.
Yes, we're going to shift gears, guys,
slide
because
in,
we're just spinning
slide
our
in,
wheels
Q.
here.
Let's go.
What
That's on
impact?
video.
This
I'm
is my
still waiting for
question
a
for
policy,
the.
though. I just want to be on the record. I'm still waiting for a policy.
Yeah, you'll be
All right.
waiting at midterms, Michael.
Listen.
We'll
You
come
know
back
what?
to it, Howard. We'll come back, Howard. We'll come back.
Listen, if you
Howard's
don't know
so
no
upset.
politics,
Like
that
you
means you
would think
wasn't
that Eli's.
watching. That means you was. It's real hard to say that half of America voted for a person who didn't have no policy, right? So try to come at me and saying, "What's the policy? What's the policy?" If you read what he wrote, you would be able to tell me his policies. Just like
I
you can
just
tell me
told you what
everything
his
in project.
policy
Oh
was.
no, you didn't. No, you made. You
Well,
made.
let's go. Let's go. We
You
got
nothing
another
you
question on the table.
nothing you said came out of his mouth. Nothing you
I,
said.
I
Oh,
think I
project. I'm
think
done.
we beat that
I want
horse.
to that part up real quick
Q,
because you
jump
have
in there.
and you vote
Yes.
for.
Could I
So
have
let's go
everybody
to the
shut
next one.
down for a second, please? Let's move on. Okay, because this is getting us nowhere. We want to have
Marky's used to being
real
in loud
discourse,
situations.
not
He's
yell
quiet.
at one another. Okay, my question, and Mark, I'm going to start with you once again. What impact will the results have on the international stage? Now we're talking about abroad. How will American first strategy affect tariffs on trade agreements and impact the economy? We know Trump is big on tariffs. Will that how do you feel that economic plan is going to shake out? Because I know there are people on both sides of that argument who have issues with it and some support it. What do you say? We'll start
All
with
right,
you
well,
first.
let's look at the international stage. All right.
Okay.
What was going on in the world when Trump was president? Let's see. North Korea was quiet. China was quiet. Russia didn't invade any countries. Ukraine was quiet. Middle East, we had the Abraham Accords. They were all good. I think we're okay on the international stage. As far as tariffs, economy was great under Trump, and he had tariffs. In fact, Biden kept most of the tariffs Trump had to this day. So I think the whole tariff is a big fear mongering thing. I think
What do
it's
you
actually
think
gonna work
about
out.
Israel? What do you think about
Yeah,
the Israel situation? I'm
Well,
curious.
so the whole Israel thing is, and I deal with a lot with this. We have a big population of Palestinian people in the town I work in, and they come into our village board meeting every first and third Monday. They come in droves, and they an open forum. They talk about what they want our village to do. Our village really can't do much on the world stage. They want some type of ceasefire. Proclamation for our village board to do. But we have a lot of Jewish people that live in our town as well. I don't know a lot of the history with the Jewish and the Palestinian people for the decades that they've been living over in Israel and Gaza. But I do know this thing. Things were peaceful until October 7th when a bunch of terrorists came in and slaughtered a bunch of Jewish people, which started this whole thing happening over there now. So there was a ceasefire in place, and clearly one side violated it. And now we have a war where, unfortunately, a lot of innocent people are being killed because Hamas hides within the civilian population. And, I don't want to see anyone get killed. I don't want the war. I'd love to see the peace there. But unfortunately, war is ugly. And that wasn't under
What do you
Trump.
think happens with Ukraine?
Yeah,
I'm just curious on your perspectives, just because.
About Ukraine?
Yeah,
Yes.
I want you to answer that, then Melissa. I want if you can jump in on that at when you finish. Yeah, what do you think happens with Ukraine? Because obviously we had a shift in our philosophy on how we handle that now.
It's really to come down to how much are we to keep funding Ukraine to fight this war, and two, how aggressive is Putin going to be? I know that him bringing in North Korea troops to help fight the war didn't help, and I think that's a big reason why now we're launching these long-distance ATAC missiles into Russia. So I don't think it's going to stir up a nuclear war by any means. Putin's been known to talk a big game to intimidate people. I don't think anyone wants a nuclear war, and we pray to God that doesn't happen. But I think there'll be some negotiations fairly early on in the Trump administration. I think that will come to some type of resolution. I hope Trump doesn't just give Russia Ukrainian territory just for the peace, but obviously, there's a lot to look at there. So, but I think Trump will come to a resolution in that whole fiasco over there. But again, I would just like to see people stop being killed. I mean, they've wiped out generations of Ukrainian people have been killed. I've heard like 700,000 or something, and a lot of Russian people too. Generations of families have been wiped out because of this conflict.
No doubt.
So
I agree with you on that, man.
there's nothing good about it at all. Nothing.
Both conflicts.
Melissa?
So we've talked about this before on other nights when we've been together, guys, as far as especially Palestine, right? I don't think there's anything diplomatic about Trump. I think that's why a lot of people gravitated towards him, right? I think Howard mentioned, he said that he's going to shake things up. He's different. And so I think that's going to be bad for us on the global stage. I think as far as the Middle East goes, Trump moving Jerusalem, right, and declaring Jerusalem as the capital kind of ignited some even more what was already longstanding things that were happening in the Middle East. I think in the debate he had with President Biden, he said that Israel wants to keep fighting and we should let them. So I think that we're gonna see an increase in funding to Israel. So it's gonna be very opposite of what Muslims for Trump were expecting for Trump to end the war. And as far as Ukraine goes, I think that's posturing. That especially Republicans in the House have said to their constituents who are saying, they ran on the fact that they don't want money to be going overseas. But the reality of it is to maintain our national security, that we'll continue to send money overseas. So I don't think that we're going to see a large shift in that. It's really going to be determinant on the Putin-Trump relationship. And most people are of the mind that Putin has dirt on Trump, which is why Trump does what Putin wants. Putin is the person that Trump aspires to be. Every morning he probably looks at a picture of Putin and wishes that he was more like him. And the people that vote like me understand that. So I think it's going to be bad. Like I said, I don't think he's diplomatic at all. I think all he knows how to do is throw gasoline on a fire. He doesn't know how to calm anything down. So I have no faith or confidence in what President Trump is going to do for the next 4 years.
If it was going to be so bad, I'm just Melissa, and I appreciate your opinion. If it was going to be so bad, how come it wasn't so bad his first term? It was fine. So, have these conflicts. None of them. So
what was fine? Do you honestly think that October 7th is what started, like the first time there was ever a fight or wrongdoing in the Middle East?
We didn't have the conflicts going on now.
We did. In 2013, we had the conflicts going on.
How come they weren't in the news?
Before that, we had the conflicts going on.
There's always been conflict, but they didn't have the money. But Biden allowed that money to go over there. Trump choked the money out of that.
This from Israel has been a long-standing position.
Iran was broke, and now they're billionaires.
It's funny how people deny the fact.
And now
it's so hard to like not even be honest. Like we know that they didn't have no money. We know even Obama sent money over there for the war. So it's like you're financing.
Which is what I said, that national security requires that we send money overseas.
How do you bring peace without negotiation? Like that's the whole problem. Like everybody wants Trump to maintain somebody being the enemy, right? If the idea is that we can all work together, why not work together?
You didn't want to work together. You didn't want to work together 2 weeks ago. You didn't want to work together when you got on this call. Like
we're talking about internet. We're talking about the international. I'm talking about international right now, right? So the whole idea is that the world works together. Like yes,
Americans, but now everybody wants to make peace now.
So
we had peace under Trump, though. It's not like it's not a foreign concept. We didn't have radical
during the time that we were that people were having conflict.
Okay, what leaders were arguing and fighting with Trump while he was president?
And what?
That's a very simple question. What leaders were arguing with Trump? North Korea was arguing with Trump. I don't think Kim Jong-un was arguing with Trump.
What nations were arguing?
I'm saying who was arguing. No, I said who was arguing with Trump, right? He's able to keep peace. There's the whole acting like the world wasn't in peace for 4 years is crazy. I don't even know why. Like, why is this an argument? There was no. It's unrealistic to sit here and act like you're saying he worked. If no, I
Okay,
didn't
let
say
me
nobody worship
disagree.
nobody. That's what I'm saying. All of this is projecting on how
All right.
somebody's going to run something. We had peace for 4 years, so saying that you're scared, where is this scaredness coming from? And we literally watched it happen. So that's my only problem as a Trump supporter. We watched for 4 years things happen, and again, people say things were going to happen and they never manifested. And so here we go again.
So
Period.
We
let me
also
answer
watched him
Mark's
tell them not
question
to do anything
because
about
Mark
the
said,
border, and they listened. And you still voted for that. You voted for that kind of
You said what?
posturing. You voted for someone who told the House and told the Senate, do not pass that border bill. And you think that that
Okay.
kind of leadership is good for this
Listen,
country. I
listen, but
disagree.
there were, hold on, did he not have plans for the border that were overturned when Biden went in there? We already had control at the
Was there
border.
not a
So no,
comprehensive
listen,
immigration reform bill that everybody agreed
hold
with?
on,
And you decided that that would be bad for his reelection.
we had
Hold on.
awesome
Both of y'all
control
talk.
at the
How?
border.
We've been talking for the last 3 minutes. Somebody gonna have to
Stop.
say something.
I've been cut off the whole time. I ain't even finished the sentence.
Well,
You didn't
For real.
finish the sentence.
I
Both of
did.
y'all were
Every
talking at the
time.
same
Stop it,
time.
please.
I'm just saying, if both of y'all talk at the same time, who hears what? Nobody hears a
No,
thing. So
100%.
if you hear somebody saying something, stop. If they hear somebody saying something, stop. We grown. All right? Let's act like it. That's all I'm saying.
Please, please.
So
well,
moving
well,
And
forward,
I
let's
appreciate
shift.
everybody's enthusiasm too, but bring it down a notch, please.
No,
Please bring it down a
let's
notch.
shift to Trump's cabinet nominations. Do you have any concerns, qualifications of the candidates? Will any of them have difficulty being confirmed? Mike, let's start off with you and go to Mark and Howard and Melissa, please.
I got concerns about most of them, if not all of them. But my belief is that they're all going to be confirmed because the Senate is going to do whatever Donald Trump wants them to do. The only person that might have a hard time is Matt Gaetz because some senators have already spoken out against him. However, Trump sent the message to uh, Senate Majority Leader or Senate, I think Senator Thune, that if he doesn't confirming that he's going to do it by his ability to appoint anyone in an acting position as a new president coming in. So, in any event, he's going to have everyone he wants in those positions that he wants because he's looking to be able to change the policies in the direction of those agencies and organizations. Because, as they said under Steve Bannon, they're going to burn the house down. So that's what their plan is to basically burn all the policies or burn the procedures which they like and enjoy. I mean that the agencies does so they can put in what they like and enjoy to basically address and put in who and what they want to put in the policies that they want to put in. You may remember a few months back earlier this year, maybe late last year, a court case, Supreme Court case, and I can't remember the actual name of the case, but the issue was whether or not the federal agency had the authority to basically have the subject matter experts determine whether or not that policy, whatever that policy was legitimate or should move forward. And the Supreme Court threw that out and said that the courts will now decide. So what that means is that now an agency, a federal agency, sort of like FEMA or EPA or the Food and Drug Administration, people like that, they have the expertise and career staff to know whether or not how many germs or how much water or how much of whatever it is that's in effect can harm us or hurt us. The court basically said that the agencies no longer have that authority, that now authority goes to the courts. So now what you have is you have unexpert judicial individuals who are supposed to interpret the law now interpreting policy from federal agencies that they have no clue what those agencies do, no clue of how the impact of those agencies will have on the American people, now making decisions whether or not those agencies can now actually stand up and defend what their policies are. My belief is that those secretaries that are going to come in under Trump will change some of those policies so that when those fights come to court, the judges now will say the policy has changed, the agency knows what it's going to do, and they're willing and they're able to do whatever they want to do. So I see them looking at having it both ways. on one hand, if the ACLU comes in and cites expert testimony or expert advice, they're going to say, no, we decide. On the other hand, when Trump's agencies come to court and say that we decide on this and we've changed the policy to do that, they're going to say the agency is right. It's their policy. So I think we're going to see a whole lot of sort of like bait and switch. The judges on one hand, Supreme Court said we're going to do this way. Now I think the agencies may change some policies because you have a lot of people who are unqualified to be in the positions they're going to be in. Matt Gaetz is not an attorney general. A Fox TV host cannot run the Department of Defense. Tulsi Gabbard cannot be a DNI agency, Director of National Intelligence, to be able to send out there. Nope. You have Elon Musk, who's now going to be over government accountability, where he himself gets billions of dollars from the government, now going to cut $2 trillion out of the government, out of a $6 trillion budget to save money and tell us that it's going to squeeze, it's going to hurt for a little while he's still getting government contracts. The whole thing is going to be an ethical shithole, because what you're going to see is all of these individuals. To Howard's point and to Mark's point, go back and look at every single secretary that was in the first administration. Every single secretary was under criminal investigation from his own attorney general. Every single one of them. And every single one of them resigned before the end of the term to avoid being criminally prosecuted. Every single one of them. And now you have the same thing coming in. You have billionaires and CEOs of major companies and corporations coming in as secretaries of these agencies and departments, and they have no experience or knowledge about anything about how these agencies work, and thinking that because they can run a company, they can then run the agency that they're working in. And they cannot. And you're going to see the same thing happen again.
But how do you know that they can't?
Let's Mark, give us your opinion.
We're going to Mark right now. What say you, sir?
You're breaking up. You want me to talk?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm going to you. I'm sorry if I'm breaking.
About the cabinets.
Yes.
And something just came up when Michael was talking as far as qualifications. Well, who's running the DOD, because they ain't passed an audit in 7 years. Trillions of dollars missing, unaccounted for. They don't tell them about qualifications. So I'm all up for a shakeup, because maybe we can right this ship, because I just find it unfathomable. The largest budget in our economy is the military industrial complex, and they can't pass an audit ever. There's a lot of wasteful money being spent there. And let the American people, let's see some transparency. Let's see where all this money is going and where and to who. And let the American people decide, because what Elon Musk said is he's going to make it very public. So the American people can see if he holds true to his word. I mean, he's not in office yet, obviously. It's not really going to be an office. I think it's a appointed position. It's not a government agency. It's going to be more, I think, more of an advisory role, because that's not really, Dodge is not a government agency. Let's just be real about that. But if he can trim some fat and some wasteful spending, I'm all for it. But let's see what it is. So I'm not going to jump to conclusions, because they're not in office yet. They haven't done their job. As far as Pete Hegseth, he's a military veteran. He's got a lot of experience in the military. Can he run the DOD? I don't know. Let's have the confirmation hearings. Let's see what's going on. We'll jump to a lot of conclusions about who's qualified, who's not qualified. We haven't had hearings yet. They haven't even stepped foot in their jobs yet. So how do we know that? But all I know is what's happening now.
In the military doesn't mean you can run a conglomerate like the DOD. The DOD is a conglomerate.
Hold on, Michael.
I have passing audit. It's a train wreck over there. They're worried about pronouns, their damn pronouns in DEI, than being military ready to fight against these other countries that want to wipe us off the face of the earth.
And we see
the military actually came in and said that they had to worry about DEI. Hold on one second. The military said we have to worry about DEI because it will affect our combat readiness if we do not make sure that we have diversity, equity, and inclusion in our armed forces. That's what the military said about DEI.
How's that going to affect a soldier? Really? Do you think all these other countries' soldiers are worrying about what their pronouns are? Really?
It had nothing. So DEI and pronouns are not the same thing.
DEI pronouns, Mark. DEI.
That's not the same thing.
The inclusion and diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, that's not pronouns. That has nothing to do with
You
pronouns.
can get those positions are if you already have the training and everything else. So you're not talking about putting somebody in it where they're not trained. You're just talking about putting somebody in where they've been excluded for over 400 years.
Right.
So it's a little different mindset, and I know that's one of the trigger words that everybody's throwing around like that's a bad thing. But actually, the military actually used to lead that. That was one of the things they started before the actual country started. So it's extremely important, especially when you want to go around the world and police the world. If that's the
Right.
case, you have to be able to blend in around the world. The beautiful part about our United States is we are supposed to be a melting pot, but it seems like you're trying to chop up the ingredients inside of it. That was even that term would even be a problem. Is concerning sometimes. But
They they've
go ahead.
lowered the standards. They've lowered the standards for people to be able to get in the military. I mean, what kind of people are we actually turning out? You
So
know,
hold on, are they lowered the standards for everybody across the board?
entry level to get into the military,
Yeah.
yes.
And
They don't
you
even
know,
require high school
I'm
diploma
gonna
now.
tell
Is
you, we're
that
gonna have
because
to
our
do a
nation
show
is
on this
military
because
weak?
the level across the board of people that can read, can't read, aren't healthy, was so low in the United States, and that's why we have this show as far as health is concerned. What they're eating, what they're doing across the board, yes, that is true. They lowered the standards because across the board in the United States, everybody is at a lower situation. So yeah, we're not talking about that. That's a whole nother situation when you're talking about across the board. They lowered the standards.
But
The
Artie, the
problem is,
standards of
Mark,
getting
for
into the
decades,
military.
the standards were here, but for people of color, they were here. That's why people don't know that first Top Gun were black people. I mean, because and then they had to fly in ships
Right.
that weren't the same yoke as other people. So it's a long story in reference to why diversity and all of that is very very encouraged and
And
also
diving.
needed.
Hey,
And that's
look,
why
I
Trump
want to I
started
want to
Jack
shift to.
Necessary.
the Rainbow
Artie, the
Coalition and having
standards
a
of
place
getting
where he can
into the
run that Rainbow
military is one
Coalition
thing,
and help
but the
diversity and inclusion in
training
the
is the
Hold on.
workplace.
same.
Hold on,
Want to
Mike.
shift to the
I would just
want to shift to the last question of the night, because this was one of the. I think this was one of the key issues that maybe might have moved the election, because it was so, it was probably one of the main messages that Donald Trump had, and I just want to talk about it because the election is passed. He's won. I'm not happy, but I'm trying to live in this brave new world and navigate this space. I'm willing to navigate it. You know what I mean? I'm just willing to navigate it, and see what happens because the proof is in the pudding. What actually happens? But I did hear that he reaffirmed what he said prior to the election. The mass deportations are coming. So I want to know, just if we can stay on task too on this subject and not segue it into something else, because this is a very important issue. So when you speak about this, we might have to do let's go a 2 minute thing real fast. It's going to be 8 minutes, and we're going to go left to right on the screen. Howard, tell me about mass deportation, how it's going to play out, and what effects will it have on the economy? Because obviously we lose a major amount of the labor force that's doing these jobs that nobody else wants to do, these black jobs, and what's going to happen? I'm just saying. He said those words, not me. I'm just saying, what's going to happen? Can you get 2 minutes? 2 minutes and you're on, Howard. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
So I feel like if they're having a mass deportation and they're mass deporting illegal immigrants, I don't think those are the ones that are running our workforce, right? I don't think they're going after the ones that send to jail. As he said, he's going to start with the violent criminals and then he's going to go down from there. We got Eric Adams out of New York City saying how much money was wasted by bringing all of 220,000 immigrants, and they had spent over $6 billion in New York for immigrants that aren't allowed to work, that they had to give housing to. Like this is going on all over the world, right? So getting them out of here, yeah, it's gonna cost some money, right? And economically, I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna actually balance out, right? But there has to be order. We have a problem with order right now, and that really bothers me. He's not saying he doesn't want people to come over there, but there's a process. If I fought my way for 10 years to get over here the right way, no, I'm gonna be upset. Somebody just be able to walk over and get something. So I think at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. I think we'll be okay. Straight up.
All righty, great.
Wow, I'm
Howard,
impressed that you got that in
I didn't
45
get it.
seconds, brother. Go ahead.
Make it practice, baby.
All right, Melissa.
Okay, so I actually looked a little bit into this because in Georgia, I remember there was some backlash when we tried to do this years prior, right? So we're definitely going to see a spike in racial and ethnic profiling. They're already talking about creating internment camps and something the U.S. paid reparations for to the Japanese for when we did it to them, right? So Americans like Howard are by and large unaware of how much undocumented people prop up the U.S. economy. So we're talking about hotels, restaurants, manufacturing, food production, and construction, wide sweeping raids. In 2006, in Stillmore, Georgia, wiped out a whole town of undocumented workers. And in 2011, Georgia tried getting probationers to do the work, and 2/3 of those probationers, they quit. And they quit 2.5 hours sooner than the migrant workers who were used to doing that normal kind of work. In 2012, $140 million was lost in Georgia agriculture alone. And mass deportations will be costly to taxpayers, costing at least $11 billion off the rip. Using the military to handle these domestic situations is wrong, in my opinion. And I think that we're going to see just how much, like I said, that undocumented people prop up our economy. And Howard, I don't want to hear nothing when your oranges cost $9.
My eggs was costing $25 under Biden. I don't care about an orange.
It was never $25.
Okay, Mark, on you, Mark.
Yeah,
You got 2
Mark,
minutes.
let's roll.
Y'all cutting into Mark seconds. Let me give him his 2 minutes back. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, Mark.
I don't need 2 minutes. So, Mike was talking about, Trump's his own words, and he's come out and said the criminals are going to be out of here, the terrorists are going to be out of here. He didn't say he's going to deport every single illegal immigrant out of this country, but the ones that are here, the violent criminals, the murderers, the terror watch list, they should be taken out of this country. Absolutely. I think the families that came here, whether they came illegally or not illegally, that are actually here to better their life for their family, should have the opportunity to stay. I'm all for that. I don't think you're not going to get every illegal immigrant out of this country. It's just not going to happen. There's too many of them. But the violent ones, the ones in the terror watch list, the ones that are actually causing crime rates and murders and all this other, and they need to be gone. And I hope those are the ones that are tracked down and taken out of this country, honestly. And that's just my 2 cents worth.
Mark,
how do you see that taking place? How do you see that taking place?
I agree with Melissa. I don't think our military should be involved in something like that. I'm not confident that that's not going to happen at some point. But I do think our law enforcement agencies and our border patrol and stuff like that and ICE should be heavily involved to focus on the most violent criminals first and the ones in the terrorist watch list so we can locate them. But we don't know how many violent people and terrorists and murderers have come over this. We just don't know. And I think once we start to get into the numbers, we might get a better idea. And obviously they can have to formulate some plan from there. But I think just a whole blanket catch-all, if you came over the border illegally, even though you're not a bad person, you're going to get kicked out. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
So,
all right, Mike.
Just real quick, I mean, how do you figure that out?
Michael, kick me 10 seconds. So you're fine.
How do you figure out who's violent, who was the violent criminal, and who was just a regular person? That's the filter system. It seems like you're back in Brooklyn and everybody walks up to you, give me your papers, and they pat your pockets.
It's going to come down to how well were these people vetted when they came in. I mean, they probably gave bogus IDs. They weren't fingerprinted. You're gonna have to go with criminal arrest records. It's not going to be easy.
It seems muddy.
It's going to be very muddy, and I just hope it's approached from an ethical way of doing it and getting the most violent people out of here. But it's a mess. We got tens of millions of people in this country, and we probably don't even know where they're at, and they're not going to show up to their asylum hearings. That's not going to happen. A vast majority of them aren't.
All right, Mike.
The gotaways work.
Michael.
On you, Michael.
Go ahead, Mike.
Stop my clock over, man.
It's all you, Michael.
Okay, all right. Let me get you right.
So
They go 2. You got 2 right there. Go ahead.
I want like 5.
All right.
I'm gonna let you start for 10 seconds. Then I'm gonna hit the clock. Go ahead.
I'll give you 10 seconds, Melissa. First of all, I appreciate what Mark is saying. What we have to recognize and understand is that when individuals come across the border, especially under ICE, they go through background, they're vetted and things like of that nature when they come through by ICE. The second thing is that any illegal that has been convicted and caught in America and is sentenced and goes to prison, once they get released, they are deported. They're not released into the community. They're deported back to their home country. So the idea that Trump is going to deport all these illegals, these criminals, like they're walking the street is ridiculous, because every criminal that's been caught and is convicted will be deported automatically once their sentence is over. There are background checks that are done by ICE for every illegal or individual who comes across the border seeking asylum or anything of that nature. So if they're coming across the border seeking asylum or anything like that, they're background checked, they're investigated, and if they have criminal records, they are deported immediately. They're not allowed to get asylum. Now, what Mark may be talking about is those who slip through the cracks and don't come through the normal channels of the southern border or northern border, and they get in through, jumping the fence or whatever case in Texas. Those individuals you have to find, you got to figure them out, you got to see them. They may not be, criminals in their home country. They may be coming here for work. But my suggestion is this: if it's such a big issue with illegals coming into the country, stop allowing the companies to hire them. Penalize the companies for hiring them. Now
It used to be a thing.
Transfer coming in. But they're not going to do that because that labor force is too valuable. That labor force, as Melissa pointed out, is creating too much money for those companies and corporations to stop it. They don't want to. Under the first term of Trump, they had 2 years to be able to pass an immigration bill. It never passed. Why? Because Republicans would not vote on it. Republican senators would not vote on it. So we've been here before. Donald Trump has had the House, the Senate, and the White House. They tried to pass that in 2016 to 2018. It did not pass because they understood the economic impact it would have on the country. That's why. So this idea, he may do it. He may do it because he has a border czar now. They may do it, but the impact is going to be great on the economy. Sorry, Melissa, I didn't give you.
I'm just saying, if it's not that many illegals here, why was it?
No, you're fine.
I'm trying to
I didn't say there wasn't that many.
No. There's a lot of undocumented people here.
So the ones that are here illegally, y'all don't think they should have to be deported?
So they pay into the taxes. And will never be able to benefit from those programs.
I'm not talking about the taxes. I'm talking about the ones that are
Hold on one second. So I just wanted to mention that Stephen Miller wants to denaturalize citizens. So that's not going to just mandate on criminals only, right? That's people who have done everything that they were supposed to become citizens. It's in the news. It's already been talked about. So, and I want you to know that when Michael's talking about Howard, I'm not sure if you're familiar where I'm at in Forsyth County, but we have a lot of chicken plants here. So over the years, Tyson Chicken Plants has had ICE come through and send those people back home, the undocumented workers. And then as soon as that gets done, Tyson, the executives, went over the border and they grabbed their workers and they brought them back. That's what happened. And that continues to happen and will continue to happen.
Wow.
So the last thing I just wanted to ask Mark,
Howard, before you respond,
I got a question.
Before you respond, we're running up on time. So I just wanted to, in closing thoughts along the line, I just, thank you guys tremendously. Man, y'all tremendously insightful, great information across the board. Very knowledgeable, and, varying opinions, but if you sat down and really had a cup of coffee with somebody, or what'd you like to drink, Mark? What is it? What was that called again? Some type of bourbon, something. If you sit there, what was it, Mark? Old fashioned, right? If you sat down and had an old fashioned with somebody,
I see you remembered Mark's drink too, didn't you?
Yeah. We would probably find out we have more in common, or our differences are not that far apart from each other as we originally thought. So Howard, man, great conversation always, brother. We got 1 minute. We can pass it around. Closing thoughts. Anything you want to say? Any subject, don't need to be politics. Could be anything. But if you want to use it all on that, go ahead. And I'll give you an extra 10 seconds. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate good conversation. I appreciate different points of views, right? But at the end of the day, the man was chosen to do a thing, and so the people who chose him are trusting him to do just that. Those who don't trust him, they just don't, right? So at the end of the day, I just got to rock out with who I voted for the past 3 elections, right? So I trust him based on what he did. So I'm gonna continue to watch that. I'm not gonna allow fear mongering of anybody in any level, whether it's politics, whether it's life, whether it's religion. Fear. The Bible says he didn't give us the spirit of fear, but of love, peace, joy, and of a sound mind. And so, especially as a black person, to be out here just fearful at all times, that bothers me to the core of my soul. At the end of the day, if we believe in the higher power that we were all raised on, our ancestors raised us on, there's no way we should be walking around here in fear at all. And so that's really, get your prayer game up. You know what I'm saying? If you walk in and you believe in, then just walk and believe everything's gonna be all right. It's no use of putting fear on people. We're gonna work together, work together. He's the president now. He's not gonna be elected in 4 more years. He can't be elected in 4 more years. So take this next 4 years and try to work together to better, and don't jump like Mark said. Like Mark said, he appoints somebody and y'all just know that they're the wrong person without allowing them to do their job. There is no qualifications for these positions. As long as you were born in America and you're old enough, you are qualified for these positions.
Well, the beautiful thing about that is, Howard, thank you, Howard. And the beautiful thing about that is we do get to see it play out. So, you don't get your report card on the first day of school. All right. So here we go. Melissa, up with 1 minute. Thank you, though, Howard. Good points, man, especially the positivity. I like that on what you included in there. Melissa, what's up, my dear? Go ahead, baby. Talk to us.
All right. No,
Hold on. Let me give you 10. I'm gonna give you 10 extra seconds. So go ahead. You can start.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. I always appreciate tapping it up with y'all. So one thing I want to say is that I wouldn't say that anyone's operating in fear, right? But I want to make sure that we're not willfully being blind to what's happening around us. Faith without works is dead, right? So I would like to ask Mark and Howard. So when it comes to women's rights, right, I've been very forthcoming in how that affects my actual everyday life, not just headlines, not just telling you stories about what happens to others. So in regards to immigration, I'm really curious. Could either of you actually tell me if you feel that your life is negatively affected by undocumented immigrants? And if so, in what way? So you're not allowed to take a headline and say this happened to this person.
We're going to have to find that out on the next show, though,
Tell
Melissa.
me how.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find that. We're going to have to get their response on the next show. Unless Mark want to include that in his answer.
First question in the next show. Because, that's what I got.
That's good cheap labor for me. They don't bother me.
All right.
So why are you so passionate about making sure they all go home?
I'm not passionate. I'm saying if that's what America wants, I'm with it.
Y'all imposing on Mark's time. Mark, can give you an extra 10 seconds. Go ahead, brother.
Melissa, I'll answer that real quick in 10 seconds. If you don't know, I'm a police officer. I've been doing it for 27 years.
You kind of cheated a little bit on this answer because you see more than other people see. Go ahead.
I do. So I see the negative impacts of it. And I'm all for people that are here to better their life and pay taxes and do things right. I'm all for them. We're a country built of immigrants. What I'm not for is the criminals and the murderers and the terrorists that have snuck into our country. I want them out because I don't want to see another 9/11. I don't want to see something happen. I don't want to see another college kid murdered I don't want to see that. Unfortunately, we're going to see more of it. I just hope that we can minimize it moving forward. As far as when it comes to politics, EQ, I told you just from the beginning, it's never personal, ever.
Yeah.
We all want to see our country thrive. We just have different opinions on how to get there. But at the end of the day, we know what's best for our country. And I think at the end of the day, when we respect each other's opinions, even if we don't agree, that's what we need more of in this country. And I think Trump's going to do a good job. But I call balls and strikes. I always have called balls and strikes. If he doesn't, that's his legacy. He has to live with the rest of his life then. So he's got an opportunity to bring things together and do things right. And if he doesn't, that's his legacy. But I have a positive outlook. I think things will be okay in the future.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. All right. I got to start the clock over, but then I got to give you your full allotment of time. So go ahead. You can start. Then I'll start maybe 15 seconds later. Mike?
Me?
Yep.
Yeah, go
ahead. All right. That's why I like Mark. I mean, I may disagree with Mark, but at least he'll come back with saying, look, I'm here to, make sure that everyone can live a prosperous life, do what they got to do. I may not want undocumented folks here, but at the same time, my concern is those that are coming here criminally. Now, at the same time, we got a whole bunch of criminals in our country, homegrown, that I'm sure he did what they did. Okay? As a former police officer myself,
lock them up. Keep them locked up.
I used to deal with them all the time. My daddy was FBI, my brother was FBI agent. So them test tube babies, we want to lock their asses up every time. I'm with you on that, Mark. All right? I'm with you on that. My biggest thing right now is, when you give someone a second chance, it's like cancer. Someone who has railed against this country, and I say railed against this country because he's called it a garbage country. He's called it so many things. People start to believe that and internalize that. And that's why you had the individuals in Ohio going after the FBI and things like that. My concern is the word and the language that Trump may use, and those who support Trump will then cause issues in communities and across the country. Now, if Trump does what Mark says, then absolutely everything's going to be great and beautiful. I just don't know that's the case because of what he has said. So, as we said, as Howard said, let's wait and see what he does. But based on what he said he wanted to do the first term that he wasn't allowed to do because he had people in the office or in position to block him, he's not going to have that this time. And that's the concern I have, is that the people that you're putting in place, Howard, must be qualified to do the job. Because if what you just said was, you're American, you don't have to be qualified for the job, there's no qualifications, but you'll be the same person that says that person wasn't qualified for the job and it was DEI who hired them and therefore they don't need the job. So my concern is this: everyone needs to be qualified for every job they do. And if you're either entry level or at the level of a federal agency that you have to control with billions of dollars, you need to be qualified to do that job. So yes, we can wait for confirmation, but if there is no confirmation, then what do? Because then we won't ever find out if they're qualified or not. They'll just be in the position to do the job that they may not be qualified to do, and we may not get that until it's too late. And that's the only concern I have. So with that, I understand. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for allowing us to be here, and we go.
No doubt. And look, this is the deal moving forward. We got 4 years, man. I'm a swallow the pill and let things play out. That's the only thing you can do. Like Mark said, we all said it in our own ways. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm gonna just be, playing out because for my reasons that are personal to me and my household, and I have a lot of women in my life and things of that nature. This is my viewpoint, but everybody's entitled to their own, and I respect that. And we lost this time. And what they said, to the winners go what?
The spoils. So
let's see what they do with them spoils. Let's see if they make them spoils, flourish, or them spoils spoil the country. We're going to have to let that play out. So I want to say, look, pray for the man, see what happens, like my wife said, maybe he'll have a change of heart. You know what I mean? Maybe my wife said, maybe he'll drink some ayahuasca or smoke some DMT. And have a renewed experience of some shiznick. You know what I mean? We're going to find out. But anyway, with that, I'm going to just say, look, man, thank y'all. I got to salute all y'all. Mike, Mark,
can I say one thing?
Last time for the
say one thing?
As we move on, you guys will be back as we'll cover other topics. And as we move on in the process as well, you know what? One thing I've noticed about you guys, our differences, and Lenny might have said this as well, our differences is not as large as we think they are. You know what I mean? We have differences in opinion on things, but ultimately we all have the same common goal. We want this country to prosper, and we want its people to prosper. And
we should do this again.
We have different ways of thinking.
Oh, we're gonna have checkpoints, Mark. We're gonna after the nomination. 30 days or somewhere after the nomination, we will be back for the first checkpoint to see where he at.
And another thing, if everybody gives Trump some respect, I think we'll be okay. I know people have their
Only
feelings about
empowered and smart promise.
respect his position of authority as president. If they do that, I think we'd be a very prosperous nation. That's it. Respect the position.
All right.
Are y'all going to be able to say, though, like, if he makes a bad decision, he made a bad decision? Because I don't think that either one of y'all would objectively say that.
Absolutely. The same way y'all did when Biden made a bad decision and spoke up. Speak up the same way.
Yeah.
All right. All right, folks, look, we're going to shut it down for the night. Yeah, those that still watching, God bless you. But if those that catch us on the rebroadcast, just click forward to the points that you want to make. I mean, your points you want to see. We went over a lot tonight, and we're going to keep an eye on things, and we're going to keep truth alive, hope alive, and democracy alive, and we're going to see what happens. All right, y'all. With that, peace, y'all.
Deuces. Talk to all you guys soon. I'll talk to everybody on the panel soon. Thank you.
All right.